Thomas Tuchel stood at a press conference after England beat DR Congo and described their round of 16 fixture against Mexico with one word: impossible, not difficult, not challenging. Impossible, specifically in reference to England's ability to physically adapt to the altitude of the Estadio Azteca, 7,220 feet above sea level, in the 4 days they have to travel from Kansas City and prepare. And Craig Burley, watching England scrape past DR Congo, said on ESPN, "I saw nothing today from England that tells me they are going to go to Mexico City and win that game. Absolutely nothing." England's manager used the word impossible. One of the tournament's most respected pundits saw nothing to suggest they can do it. That is the actual state of England's World Cup right now. And the question nobody is asking loudly enough is why FIFA scheduled this match here in the first place. England's performance against DR Congo should have set alarm bells ringing before altitude even entered the conversation. DR Congo are ranked 41st in the world. England were expected to control that match from the first whistle. Instead, they huffed and puffed through 70 minutes of football where they created almost nothing, conceded from the opposition's first real chance, and required Harry Kane to drag them over the line with 2 goals, including a penalty that their own pundits said he went to ground to win. No Trent Alexander-Arnold, Reece James injured, Jed Spence struggling at right back, the wide areas completely disconnected. Tuchel made substitutions that confused almost every analyst watching. That team is about to play in Mexico City, at 7,220 feet, against a nation that treats the Azteca as sacred ground. Here is what the altitude actually does to elite athletes who are not acclimatized, because the science is more brutal than most previews are acknowledging. At 7,220 feet, there are significantly fewer oxygen molecules in the air. Your body compensates by increasing your breathing rate, which in turn raises your heart rate. Your sleep is disrupted, especially in the first 2 to 3 days at altitude, which is exactly the window England have before kickoff. You dehydrate faster, and your fatigue levels over 90 minutes increase by somewhere between 15 and 20% compared to sea level conditions. England's medical staff cannot fix this in 4 days. Tuchel said so himself. The players can be told to expect it. They can be managed carefully in training. But the moment that whistle blows and they start running at altitude against a team that has breathed this air for weeks, the physiological gap between the two sides is real, and it is significant. Mexico have played 3 of their 4 2026 World Cup matches at the Azteca. Their players' bodies are fully adjusted to this environment. Their lungs have adapted. Their sleep cycles have settled. They know every corner of that pitch, every roar from 87,000 Mexican supporters, every way the ball moves differently in thinner air. England are arriving on Friday. The match is Sunday. Those are the facts. Now here is the institutional question that deserves to be asked directly. FIFA scheduled this round of 16 fixture at the Azteca knowing full well that Mexico, as a co-hosting nation, had been allocated matches there throughout the group stage. They knew Mexico would be training there. They knew the altitude advantage was real and documented. And they scheduled England's knockout match at exactly that venue, against exactly that team, at exactly that altitude. This is not an accident of the bracket. This is a scheduling decision that FIFA made deliberately, with full knowledge of what it means for any European team traveling there with days to prepare. Tuchel called it impossible to adapt. He still has to send his players out there. The question of whether FIFA should be scheduling knockout matches at high-altitude venues during a tournament where one of the hosts plays all their home games at that venue. That conversation has been almost completely absent from mainstream coverage. Every preview is framing this as England's great adventure. Very few are framing it as a structural gift that FIFA handed to the co-hosts. The Azteca has its own history that hangs over this match independently of altitude or scheduling politics. Mexico have not lost an official competitive match at this stadium in decades. The last time England faced any team at the Azteca, it was Argentina in 1986. The hand of God in the first half, the goal of the century in the second. European teams do not have a record at this ground that invites optimism. The combination of altitude, crowd, history, and a Mexican team that has not conceded a single goal in 4 matches at this World Cup creates a set of conditions that no European side would choose to face in a knockout round. But England have no choice. They are going. And their manager has already told the world that the altitude alone presents an obstacle he has no solution for in the time available. Kane will be asked to carry England again. Bellingham will be asked to find space against a Mexican midfield that has suffocated every opponent in this tournament. And they will be asked to do all of this while their lungs work harder, their legs fatigue faster, and their sleep cycles fight against an environment their bodies have not adjusted to. Tuchel said impossible. Burley said he saw nothing. Mexico said nothing, because they do not need to. The Azteca will say everything. Can England actually do this? Comment below, because if they do, it is one of the great World Cup upsets. And if they do not, the question of why FIFA sent them there in the first place will get very loud very fast. Subscribe for full coverage as England travel to Mexico City, because whatever happens on Sunday, the story starts now.